So this app that this guy created can actually help a lot of people in hindsight further down the line. No matter what you think about prisoners or people who commit crimes, not all of them deserve to be behind bars, and not all of them deserve to, some people make mistakes. They serve their time, they get out, and they should be accepted into society in a sense. And, they did their time. But a lot of people look at them like felons and bad people, and they kind of just get stuck in that cycle and end up going back in. And I really like this story because it hits home. I know a lot of people who, from low income families and low income communities end up going back and forth into that vicious cycle. And if there's anything that improves that type of life so that they no longer go into that type of thing, I'm all for it. So that also comes from the Good News Network. And once again, I'll share that one in the description. But that was our last story for today. I really hope you guys enjoyed those 3 stories. I hope you got a little bit of information on that. And now we will get into the Black-owned organizations, because it is still February. It's still Black History Month. And we are still highlighting those things. All right. And with that being said, our first Black-owned organization is called National Association of Black Journalists. Now here's the description for that organization. The National Association of Black Journalists was founded in 1975 and is an organization of journalists, students, and media-related professionals that provide quality programs and services to and advocates on behalf of African American journalists worldwide. Our second Black-owned organization is the National Black Chambers of Commerce, or NBCC, and the National Black Chamber of Commerce, incorporated in Washington, D.C. in March 1993, represents 95,000 African American owned businesses and provides advocacy that researches 1 million African American owned businesses. From the original 14 chapters of the NBCC, it has grown to over 200 chapters located in 40 states and 50 nations. It is the largest Black business association in the world. The National Black Chamber of Commerce is dedicated to economically empowering and sustaining African American communities through entrepreneurship and capitalistic activity within the U.S. and via interaction with the African diaspora. And I know I usually do 2, but I'm going to do one extra one this week, and it is the National Black Justice Commission, or NBJC. And this is America's leading national Black LGBT civil rights organization focused on federal public policy. The mission is to end racism and homophobia. NBJC provides leadership at the intersection of national civil rights groups and LGBT organizations, advocating for the unique challenges and needs of the African American LGBT community. If you are African American and you are in that realm of, basically, I guess, in LGBT, if you are LGBT in the African American community, it's super hard. There's a huge stigma with gays and same sex, all that acceptance stuff is very taboo, I guess you can say, in a sense, with traditional families. I thought that was super cool because there's something you guys can turn to. It's being more and more accepted in today's society, which is a great and positive thing. But like I said, I share these 3 organizations because a lot of people don't know that they exist, or they don't know where to turn to, and they fall into these categories. So once again, if you fall into any of those 3 categories and you need to find help or don't know what to do exactly next, seek those places out. Google them, look them up. I'll put it's in diversitybestpractices.com is where I'm getting these organizations from. So I'll put that in the link in the description as well. If you guys are interested in looking into those things to find help with whatever, there's a ton. I don't even think I'm gonna be able to get through all of them, but if you guys are interested, feel free to go there, check it out, and see how they can help you. Now, our person of the week this week goes to Jesse Jackson. For those of you who don't know, Jesse Jackson is a civil rights activist and a politician. He was born in 1941, and he is kind of responsible for laying the foundation for electing a black president. You know, one of the 21st century's most signature achievements is him kind of laying that foundation down. You know, he decided to run for president himself in 1984. It was one of those widely looked as acts of symbolism during that time. You know, black leaders at that time have been discussing for years what it would take for somebody to seriously compete for, that type of, to hold that position in office. You know, the first elected black mayor was in Chicago in 1983. And with that, you know, the impact of Ronald Reagan's presidency on black Americans, a lot of people thought, you know, if there's any time, it's this time. You know, but none of the most prominent black elected leaders at the time would step up. You know, either they lacked the courage or they didn't have a big enough ego. But Jackson, he lacked neither, pretty much. You know, he ran and won 5 Democratic primaries, and on a minuscule budget, he basically shocked the party and evaluated his stature in the Democratic Party. You know, with his second presidential campaign in 1988, he established himself as a leader in the progressive wing of the Democratic Party. After that, he won 11 primary caucuses and finished as runner-up to Michael Dukakis, if you keep up with politics. But, you know, before his campaign, black people had largely relegated to roles as campaign surrogates on urban issues and, you know, get out the vote specialist in black communities. But Jackson kind of pried open the Democratic Party structure and helped increase black participation in politics, which would explain why so many black people are Democrats, right? Now, the result was more field operatives, strategics, fundraisers, you know, candidates for a wider range of offices at that time were more than ever before. He pushed for changes in the party's nominating processes that kind of benefited Obama in his race against Hillary in 2008, which basically got him elected, you know. And, you know, it was easy for people to forget how eccentric he was at one point, but it's not an overstatement to call him the greatest political orator in America, because his ability to inspire farmers and factory workers and maids, even teenagers growing up in housing projects, you know, nobody could come close, you know. So I picked him as the person of the week because he deserves the credit for all his civil rights activism in the Deep South as a protege of Dr. Martin Luther King, and later even on Wall Street and Silicon Valley. His most notable achievement was shaking up the American political system by helping reform a major party and demonstrating all that occupy the Oval Office. And it was a dream that he helped attain. So for that being said, regardless of how you feel about politics, the tribalistic parties of Democrats and Republicans, who's right, who's wrong, the fact that everything that this guy did helped elect the first black president in the United States, once again, regardless of your feelings, is a major accomplishment in our history. And this guy should definitely be remembered and known about. I know a lot of people know who Jesse Jackson is, but do you really know who Jesse Jackson is? So that's why I picked him as the person of the week. And I hope I gave you guys just a little bit of insight on that. If you're into politics, if you're not, he definitely helped. So with that being said, that is the end of our podcast. That's kind of all I have for you guys. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys got a little more information every week that I give you guys. I hope I'm doing a good job. If I'm not, let me know. If I am, let me know. You know, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, leave a review, leave a rating on the podcast, whatever platform you guys are streaming me or downloading me from. It'll help the ratings. Once again, if there's anything you guys are doing, want me to do, or anything you guys have heard of, feel free to let me know at limelight_highlight@gmail.com. I'm always open to hearing from you guys. I want this to be an interactive podcast. And yeah, I think that is basically all I have. You can find me on social media, on Instagram and Facebook at limelight_highlight.com. My favorite quote of the week this week is actually from Michelle Obama, and it goes, quote, "You can't make decisions based on fear and the possibility of what might happen," end quote. I'll leave you guys with that. Once again, this has been the Limelight Highlight. Go out there and do something good. Be humble, be helpful, pay it forward, and be the best you. Until next time, you guys have a good week. Later.